story of the Ray Charles character is a man called Big Ben. And I didn't know anything about Vietnam veterans and the turbulent re-entry struggle, and joined the chorus of white people and black people to demonize him. And at a certain point when I began to understand, he became a principal source of this character in building or constructing this character. But what was very also ironic was John Anderson, who plays the part of Ray Charles, was one of the best actors in America. You may not believe me, I'll tell you. In the late 60s, anytime John Anderson was a scene at the Goodman School of Drama, white teachers, white students, white community people would come to watch him just go after acting. He was one of the best actors. There are Hollywood white folks we knew then in that acting school who went straight to Hollywood, and he never broke through. And then he also went to Vietnam and came back, and we had to meet again in California, and he became Big Ben by the journey he took to Vietnam. And that is when I started to construct the character. The grandmother character, now the sister who played it, this is her first acting. The time we took her in Buckingham County, Virginia, after years of location hunting with people, she fainted the first day. When she saw the location, she said, "Oh, this is a real thing." And she fainted. And we didn't shoot that day. She had to go to a hospital. And the barber, the television repairman initially was a barber shop, because I always felt that's the best university Howard never tapped. I felt if you go to a barber shop, that's the biggest, best university in America. And a lot of wise folks go through in that institution. But when I converted it into TV repairman, it is the same man who was a TV repairman in Richmond, Virginia, who I got to know over the years that played the part right there. And this is his first acting. And so you have to know this is a community effort. Don't forget this. I know they talk about LA Rebellion, etc. That's what I didn't have. First, I studied black people in Washington. I came in and I saw the struggle, and I realized this is a very fertile ground to tell the story of black people who in white America's documentation do not exist. But this location, this setting, this pictures you see came out of black people's life. Somewhere in North Carolina, it could be somewhere in Richmond, Virginia, or it could be in Washington, D.C., or Buckingham County, Virginia. To find that place alone, you cannot imagine how many people helped me. Because I'm very intransigent. When I'm looking for something, it takes me years to find. The grandmother, to play that part, I looked for a whole year to find her. And she was in the great party of the black community, and that's the experience she brought and infused in the film. So don't forget these things, that when black films were made in the LA Rebellion time, you take the actors out, you take the jazz musicians who inspired us out, there is no black cinema. And sometimes white folks hijack this whole movement and create that, or take the tooth out. This is an alternative, independent filmmaking in spite of the problem that could prevent to stop you. Illegally in streets, without insurance, without guerrilla warfare, Kathy Collins calls it. We did our movie. So oftentimes we forget the people who made it happen. If I didn't have them, it would all be in the script. Like I have 15 scripts, and it's only actors that could resurrect it. And so that's the first thing. The other part of it in the structure is the story is when do grandparents, wise people, when do they transaction with their grandkids? This is a universal issue. Is it when we want to tell them the truth? Is it when we're so right? Or is there a right moment, like jazz people would call, is there a right moment for that individual to transform? And then what kind of society pays attention and allows the person to occasion through their own engulfing problem? A lot of times our community therapeutically has saved more people than all the clinics and hospitals that have attempted everything without fund. out of community love. What I did was took that and said the collective love nationalizes painful experience of Ray Charles. He possessively wants to keep it every time somebody wants to touch it. What did the other people do? Nationalized it or collectivized it. And by doing that, they therapeutically transformed him. And Black people have done this throughout. What is very important is, do young Black people know how to actually get the story that is under their nose? Their grandmother on a swing is not just a body, she's a vessel of a history. So basically, this is what is, I'm rushing it for you, but this is what influenced me. When my grandmother tried to talk to me in Ethiopia, when Hollywood movie was brainwashing me, she was the first around the fire grandmother I had. And I trespassed, I walked all over her, went to Hollywood, and became the adopted son of the Doris Day Cinema. And that brought me to America. But now, every time I am in trouble in America, unprepared to face racism, I will close my eye and try to remember my grandmother, what the wisdom she tried to tell me. And oftentimes that happens for many people. And that's why I think folks should know, tell the truth to young people. Don't patronize them. Tell them the hard issue, the hard struggle. There's a day when they will recall and re-access it. The worst thing is not to tell them the hardcore issue, because they will not know how to confront racism in America if you did not raise them to face it. So my thing is, can I say it in this film? This is simply what I try to say. And thank you very much for coming, because I admire you folks for walking in to see, well, Ava is, one thing I have to say about Ava doesn't have to reach, I have nothing to give Ava. Ava is a very interesting person. And I'm just studying her like hell, because in Black America, this is what's missing. I've known many Hollywood people. Some even called me from school as this newly talented filmmaker. I don't drop names to you, but they never came through. And I remained in my independent planet. I never cared about their planet. But many promises years later, a sister comes who doesn't have to get nothing from me, except maybe problem. Okay? And then she's sponsoring my work. That's like touching this fire there. You saw the amber, not the ashes. She's stroking the fire. And I'm very grateful to her.